Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Just to say, if you've got any messages on the radio, people, make sure you put it in the left-hand column, not the right. Come on, guys, you know by now. And if you're if you're on podcast watching, make sure you put it in the middle column. It's like what they call it, um, you know, a certain game show. I can't remember now. It's gone. But anyway, we have got Kevin Harvey on today, and we will kind of like chat to him in one sec after this advert. And don't forget, guys, don't forget, take your shoes and socks off, get yourself a coffee. Be back in 2 minutes. That's right. Hello, Kevin. How are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic, Steve. Nice to meet you. I'm glad that you've invited me along to speak to everybody today. Looking forward to it.
I like your background, by the way.
I'll do you. Oh, it is a real one. It's not virtual.
Right. I thought it was one of those like you stole them from Everton Football Club or something.
No. I have it made when I go out speaking. 2468 motivates my little accountability system that I created that sort of helped me through my life. And it's just a little backdrop that I put up, so I don't have to decorate basically at home. I can just put this up whenever I talk to people. It's great.
That's a good idea. You can have it for you. I can have. I probably need some rules of that for my wallpaper here at home. We need some wallpaper.
Yeah. Oh yeah, nobody sees what's behind it. It's just just a big piece that I've had put up there, and of course, obviously, free advertising as well, which we all love.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Tell everybody about yourself, Kev.
Oh, right. Where do I start? I'm 59 years of age, so big 60 coming up for the next one. Probably 7 or 8 years ago, did think I'd make it that far. Had a bit of a breakdown and then discovered myself, and now I help other people get through that. And my main niche, I suppose, is I help people with confidence, particular speaking. I've always been on stages, speaking, emceeing, charity work, that type of thing. And I've always followed motivational people. I could always find them excited. Some of the top people in the world I've been to see. And then when I had my bit of a breakdown, I sort of put it all together. And what a journey I've had, And as you called your podcast, I've been to the crossroads and I've been on my knees and, turn right or left or go straight on. And fortunately, I decided to go straight on.
Well done. And that's why we did it. That's why we do it for, and to help people. And we have helped so many in the past. Okay, so when you kind of why do you why did you set up your your business as by helping people? Then what was that all about?
Basically, what happened was I've been quite successful. By the way, when I'm coaching people, I always say, okay, let's get the pity party out of the way first. Let's go through all the crap that we've all been through, and then let's move forward. Because a lot of people just want to have this pity party, just talk about what's happened to them in the past all the while. But I think it's important to understand the journey. Because if we look at some of the great films like Rocky, without the bit at the beginning, you wouldn't have Rocky at the end. You've got Batman, Superman. They've all had these bad lives to start with, but always come out on top. So we have to have this. We have to go through the process of these things happening to us sometimes to actually work out that, in my case, having a breakdown turned into be a breakthrough. And that journey, I'd had a successful career working for a large PLC. And I'd gone from the age of 17 till I was in my 40s. And I'd gone from shop floor to the boardroom, basically. I was high flying and I had the ultimate sort of burnout, 40,000 mile a year traveling, didn't get on with it. Marriage was collapsing because of it. Never at home, but I had the trappings of the nice house, the nice car, and everything else. So I had a bit of a breakdown then. But it really, what happened was not that long ago, really, about 5 or 6 years. And they say the 5 most stressful things that can happen to you are divorce or splitting up from your partner, moving house, having an illness, having a death in the family, and losing your job. Well, unfortunately, all 5 of those things happened to me in a 3-month period. And being an only child, my parents had obviously died. My mother died. I've been caring for her. My dad had died a while ago. So all of a sudden I was there. I've got no brothers, I've got no sisters, and I've got no kids. And I've just gone through a separation. My business at the time, because of everything that was happening to me, went down the pan. And I thought, why am I on this planet? There's absolutely no point in being here. I've got no leverage because I've got no children. I do have a stepdaughter, but at that time we weren't communicating or talking. And it was just a case of, well, what's the point? There's no point in me carrying on. But I'd always been interested in all the, I suppose, the science of how the brain works and habits and how we can create happiness and how we can create confidence. And I'd used a lot of that through business to help me get from that shop floor to the boardroom. And I took a little journey to a place in the Lake District, which some of you might know, Lake Coniston. And behind Lake Coniston is the big mountain, I suppose it's a mountain, called the Old Man of Coniston. My reason for going there was to park my car up and walk to the edge of the lake. Basically, that's where I was just going to leave it there. That was the end of me. That's what I was going to do. But I sort of went through all these things in my head about seeing all these people that had come through it and the resilience and the bounce back ability that these people had. And I thought, I can do this. I can change my life. So in more ways than one, I turned around and I left the old man behind me, the old man that was me and the old man, the mountain. And that's where I left it. I got back in my car and I drove off. The other thing is I can't swim. So I knew if I went into that water, I wasn't a very good swimmer then. I knew that if I went in the water, I wasn't coming out. But it wasn't the fear of the water, which I thought it was, because I showered every day. I got wet in the rain. It wasn't the fear of water, it was the fear of drowning. And that's sometimes we get confused with our fears. And that struck a big chord with me. So I drove back home, back to Leeds, where I live, and I closed the curtains for a few weeks, watched TV every morning from 5 o'clock until 5 o'clock at night, put a big smile on my face, got changed, went to the pub, got pissed with all my mates with a big smile on my face, where they all thought there was absolutely nothing wrong with me, and then went back home and went back to bed again and started to reform my life slowly, taking small steps.
What was the change?
The change was I had a purpose. I found that I had a purpose. I wanted to help people. I'd always helped people. I've been on so many charity organisations over my life and everything, and that was the leverage for me, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't actually do what I wanted to do to myself. I saw myself as just really depressed for the rest of my life then, and I went through 6 to probably 10 months, and still have moments now. But the change happened when I realised that, it doesn't matter. It's about me. I was wasting my energy on what other people thought, what people were thinking about me. What did my ex-wives think, my ex-partners? What did people in the pub think of me? And at the end of the day, the choices are all our own choices. The choices that we make are our choices. I now think when I make a choice, is that choice for the fulfillment of my long-term goal, or is that for just an instant gratification?
And what is your long-term goal?
My long-term goal is to help as many people as I can. As a business that I can work anywhere in the world from. So that's another great thing, because obviously I lost quite a bit of money financially with everything that went on. So I still need to work. And I wanted to do it where I'm actually adding things back to people and I can help them. And I love speaking. As you can see, I never shut up to much of my mates' annoyance.
You carry on.
So, give me a stage and a microphone, and don't always need a microphone. And I'm out there, and I want to spread the message that you can change your life. You know, one of my slogans is it's never too late to change your life. Where you are today is not where you need to be tomorrow. And there is people out there that will help you. There's definitely people that will help you. I've got my own system, which I call 2468 Motivate, which I actually came up with many, many years before. And I bought the .com for it, but never did anything with it. In fact, I still haven't done anything with the .com. I just bought it. And it was the small steps. I started reading the books again that I bought many, many years ago. At the time I was self-development books. I called them shelf development books because all they did was sit on the shelves. And I've got rows of them up here, and I've got them behind here. And I started getting them out and reading again, and picking all the points out, and thought, I can do this. I could create my own little system. And I'd created my system, 2468, which is all about taking small steps. And it helped me. It helped me with my goals. I started to get a morning routine, which is one of the most important things I do now. I started to journal every day. Started to write down my 3 wins every night. I asked myself a question every morning. I came up with my own mantras that I could do. I started to meditate, and I started to put all these things into my life, and it changed my habits. It's the Einstein's eighth wonder, if you've heard of it, which is the 1% compound. And I think you go from, if you add 1% to something every day, you get 37% improvement over the course of 365 days. But if you go 1% backwards, well, you're going to go 1% backwards every day. You go something like 0.3% back every day. It's quite incredible how it works. And I started reading things about Dave Brailsford, who was the guy with the who improved the Olympic cycling team by 1%. James Clear writes about it in his book Atomic Habits, which is a great reference book if anybody has heard of it, wants to get it. And he just improved it by 1%. And in the 4 years he did it, when they went to the Beijing Olympics, I think it was 2008, they won 60% of the medals in cycling. It was all won by the British team. We hadn't won one since, I think, 1920. And all of a sudden, his philosophy was change 1% each day. 1% is something of your life each day, and it compounds up. Einstein's 8th wonder of the world, which is what I often refer to as my 8 in the 2468.
Okay,
so that's what I did.
Brilliant. You're a confidence coach. So
Yeah.
How would somebody kind of like get their confidence back by kind of like, if they split it up from their divorce or sorry, from their marriage or relationship, what is the first thing you say to them?
But the first thing I would do if I was working with someone is we need to identify the difference between confidence and self-esteem. Because self-esteem is something that you can sort of work on yourself, because it's what you believe you look like, who you are, what you think your persona is. Where confidence is something you can learn. You can all learn to be confident, to get over a fear. Like me with the swimming, I hated swimming. I now swim. I mean, if I wanted to go out on a diving board tomorrow and somebody said jump off a 10-meter diving board, I have no confidence. I couldn't do that. But if somebody said, let's start off the side, and next week let's go to a meter, and then 2 meter and 3 meters, in 10 weeks' time, I'd be jumping off that board because I'd have the confidence, because I would have prepared myself different. I would have talked to myself in a positive way, not in a negative way. And that's the first thing we have to do. We have to get people thinking that they're in a negative way. We drop words. We take the T off can't, make it can. We drop all these little words in. And the positive language is quite strange now, because the youngsters of today, I hear them talking, and they use negative words in a positive way. When they say that's sick, they mean it's good. Or if that's dank, to me that means it's damp and horrid. They change all the words and they make them into something positive. They say, "Oh, that's really sick, Kev," and I'm like, "Sick?" They've changed the language, the way that the youth operate today, and I love that. I don't go around saying, "Hey, that's sick, man," and that's dank and everything else. But I change my positive words. We should never use the word shouldn't. People say, "I should have done that. I should have done this, or I shouldn't have done this." Too late. Too late. What can you do about it now? Everyone that's listening out there today, or if they listen to this podcast in the future, what's the one thing you can do to add 1% to your life today? What's one thing you can do? And then go and do it. That's the whole thing's about that to me. Making the 4 steps.
Now, I put since 2015, I always wanted to write a book, and I've just written the book recently.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what soon I had that book in my hand a couple of days ago, I thought, what achievement I did because I always wanted to do it. Because I've had strokes in the past and I've been having problems with my writing, so I had to get somebody to give me a hand to do it. But the trouble is, that achievement, it makes your confidence more better and better, doesn't it?
Because you're prepared for it. When you write a book, you didn't just write it in an hour. You've been preparing for it all your life. It's your life story. It's about to take it or whatever you write about. And that's what you've got to remember. So you're making improvements all the while. And that's where you get your confidence from. It's like motivation. People say there's no such thing as motivation. There isn't such a thing as motivation. All motivation is taking action.
That's it. Yeah.
To get yourself motivated, you've got to take some action. You've got to have a plan. You've got to process that plan. But most importantly, you've got to push the button.
Yep.
You know, we all have plans, we all have dreams, but you've got to push the button.
That's it. You've got to make things happen.
Make things happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally right. There's something that I want to talk to you about, but I can't remember where my notes was now. Hang on for a sec. About your workshops, and are there any workshops coming up that people can kind of join in or contact you about?
Yeah, I'm just actually working on a new one at the moment, which will be a free sort of webinar I'm doing, which is my Speaking with Confidence. And that's helping people. I've got no dates for it at the moment. I'm building it through Kartra. If you heard of Kartra, it's like a site where I put videos on for people to go back and do references, but I will be doing lives. Hopefully, it's going to be running in January. But if you want to drop me an email, and I'll add you to my mailing list. It's kevin@kevinharvey.co.uk, and I always reply to everybody that emails me, and I'll just keep you in the loop when things are happening at the moment. It's all in a new process. I've had a change of the way that I was promoting things and doing things, and it wasn't basically I wasn't doing it properly. I was just doing a bit on Facebook and a bit on LinkedIn, and I've now decided that I need to up my game and move 1% each day going forward. So I've got somebody working on this course with me for a new course, and that will be helping people. It's got loads of top tips and tricks, memory techniques, how to remember your scripts, body language. I've done loads of courses on body language, how to move around the stage. We've got how to prepare for it, how to do tongue twisters, how to do the breathing, how to get your confidence. So I do workshops and all this type of thing, and it will be on a live, on a Zoom. Well, that one for people to come along and join, and then obviously if they want to work with me either one-to-one or in a group after that, the options are there. That's how I work with the confidence. But I don't just deal with the confidence for the speaking and speaking on stage. I help people in all walks of life, whether it's confidence in everything. It's your greatest asset and life in business, which is obviously what you've said there. I think you've put my webpage up there. There's me a little bit in action. Yeah, a few places I've spoken at. I like my shirts and various other bits and bobs. There's all on my website. You can visit my website. That's also kevinharvey.co.uk. That's also having a big makeover at the moment, but there's information up there and you can contact me through that, and there's a few references on. So I do workshops for business. I do business where I go into businesses and talk to them and get the staff be congruent with what the management wants and get the management to understand the staff so that the company can grow. And I also work obviously on stage a lot. Zoom now is my life. I think for most of us in lockdown, I found myself in lockdown being single and couldn't mingle. So I had to learn all these things about the dating sites, Zoom. So, just to get myself out there. So I just literally live my life on Zoom now. And one other thing I did as well, I got myself a dog called Otis.
Right.
He's not here today in this room. He was a lifesaver for me. Absolutely. Got me out every morning. Got me out every lunchtime. Got me out every night. Don't go anywhere without him. That's one thing I made a part. I've always had dogs in my life, but since I've been on my own nearly 4 years now, I haven't had I haven't had a long-term relationship. So I got myself a dog. It's been one of the best things for me. I've kept my weight off. I've lost a few stone. Everything about it's been good, getting me out there and doing it. I try and practice what I preach, which is not easy because I like a drink, but I'm not total teetotal yet, but I think I might be heading that way. Because I feel better for it. I so much when I get up in the morning, even if I just have a few beers the night before, I'm a different person. I get more work done. And to think where I was 5-6 years ago, I'm loving life at the moment. You can create happiness. You can do it just by being positive, smiling at people every day, helping somebody down with that tin of beans off the top of the shelf, in the supermarket, and then going home and I write that down as a win that I've helped somebody on the day. Silly little things. I've totally changed my mindset.
Can I just talk to you about 4 or 5 years ago when you were in a bad place?
Yep.
When you were in a bad place,
Yep.
were you, and when you were down, were you kind of like did you want to kill yourself?
Yeah, that's why I went to the lake. I drove to the lake to basically, I locked up and closed all the curtains at home and I drove up there with the intention of walking into the lake. I knew I couldn't swim. I just thought that was the best way to go.
And what stopped you? What stopped you?
As I say, I stood on the edge of it, and it was ironic that it was called the Old Man of Coniston, and it's a place I've been loads and loads of times before in the past, and I love the area. And I looked at myself as this old man with no future, no kids, no family, and thought that's where I wanted to go and end it all. But then it had the reverse. It sort of flipped on me, and I thought, I'm going to leave the old man behind. What? I don't need to be this person. There is people out there. I can help people. And that's basically what came into my head at that time. And I've been reading quite a bit, as I said, of the books. And there was a guy called Clive Gott, who isn't with us anymore. There was a professional speaker, motivational speaker, who was fantastic in Leeds. He told it as it was. He didn't mince his words. And I loved him. And he used to talk about the 3 A's, which was, and I talk about this now. And this is what I did. I had to accept what had gone on in the past. That I couldn't change anything that had gone in the past with my relationships, what I'd done for a job, my businesses. I just had to do that. I just had to accept it. I then had to admit who I was, why I'm here, what I was put on this earth to do. And then I had to appreciate myself and appreciate others. They're my 3 A's. And once I started to appreciate myself and what I was good at and what I could pass on to other people, that's what made me think, this is what I'm going to do. And then I had a purpose again, Steve. I didn't have a purpose before. And everybody's got a purpose. And I found out what my purpose was. Now, it's taken me 3 or 4 years to work my niche out more. Because I'm a master NLP coach. But I've been an NLP coach and a qualified hypnotherapist for probably over 10 years. Because I
was going to mention that.
I used it for business. I used that for my own personal bits and bobs. I didn't do it to train anybody, to coach anybody. I hate the word life coach. People call me a life coach. Now, at least I've had a life. I know there's people out there call themselves life coaches. They haven't had a life. I'm a confidence coach. I breed confidence into people. I get them to take action, which gets them motivated. That's the pleasure.
I had this young girl on the other day.
Yeah.
She was about 20.
Yep.
And she said, and she contacted me and she said, Steve, my name is Sam and I'm a life coach. And I says, oh, okay. So what are you? 20. And I'm thinking, oh my God, why are you calling yourself a life coach? You're only 20. You haven't even had a life yet. You know what I mean?
I get that, and I don't mean it disrespectful from that point of view, because some of the people I work with now are coming through. I remember the APC, the Association of Professional Coaches, and I help a lot of people in there. I coach some of the people in there, some of the younger ones, and they call themselves life coaches, and they're as qualified, if not more, some of them than what I am. And they have all the skills and everything else. So I'm not knocking the skills and what they're doing, but it's very difficult to understand a life when you've not been through some of the problems that other people have and come out the other side. And that's when you probably get a bit more empathy. That's when I sort of say, this isn't a pity party. Tell me what your problem is. Tell me what the story. Right. What's the one thing we can do now, this minute, that I can help you with and move you forward? Yeah. That's what it's all about. And then what's your 3 wins today? What's your 3 wins today? My 3 wins have been out and walk the dog, done 3 mile. That's a win. Cooked a healthy breakfast. That's a win. It doesn't have to be I've climbed a mountain.
No.
Doing this podcast will be my 3rd biggest win today. And there's a small wins, but I'm talking positive all the while. I'm not talking, well, this happened and that happened. Everything I do now has to be positive. I've had to change my mindset to be a positive person. I still win. I'm still a grumpy old man. When my football team are losing or whatever, I still want to
What's your
shout.
football team called?
Sorry?
What's your football team called?
I'm originally from Nottingham, you see, so I'm a Nottingham Forest supporter. I moved to Leeds in 1985 with business. So I've actually lived in Leeds longer than I've lived. I lived in Nottingham. I was 23 years of age when I moved, but it's still my team. And I get a lot of ribbing for it up here, especially now Leeds are in the Premiership and we're in the Championship. So I get a bit of stick from the lads in the
I
pub.
think we'll be in the Championship next season.
Who's your teams,
Plymouth.
Steve? Oh, you're Plymouth. All right, okay. Plymouth's the one place where nobody wants to play away from the north of England.
Too far,
It's too far because it's too far to travel. It's too far to travel to get down there. How are they doing at the moment? Anyway, I've got
top of the league.
The top of the league. I thought it was top of the league. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ryan Lowe.
Sorry.
Ryan Lowe's the manager.
Right. Okay. Was Paul Sturrock there at one stage at Plymouth?
Yeah, but he left about 8-9 years ago.
Yeah, well, it must be. Like I met Paul. He was the best friend of a guy that we had a depot in Scotland in Dundee, and Paul had just started. He finished his playing career then with Scotland, and I think he was at Dundee.
He was a manager at Dundee United, wasn't he, Paul?
That's right. He was the manager, yeah. And I went out for dinner with him a few times, but I didn't live up there, but I was up there like every other week, and he was a really nice guy. And I think he had to leave management because he was suddenly with a bit of dementia in the end.
Yes, yeah, he's got.
So I'm not.
But he does a lot for the club now. Though.
He does a lot. Is he still doing a lot? Oh, is he? So that's good, isn't he?
He's got a bit of a share in the club or something. I think.
All right. Okay. Yeah, he's a lovely man.
Yeah.
Lovely man.
Yeah.
Lovely man.
But we got Ryan Lowe from Bury. So
yeah.
When Bury folded. If anybody comes to you now online and they say to you, right, Kevin, I need help and everything, how do you suggest them to help you? No,
right.
You help them.
Well, I'm a big softie, you see, so I do charge obviously for my services when I run my courses and everything, but I'll always give somebody the time of day. And if I say I do a discovery call for an hour, I don't give them the tip of the iceberg. We get into it. They can have a free hour with me anytime, and that hour unbelievably goes so quick. It could be an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I don't just say that your time's up. I want to talk to them. I can explain to them that I've been there at my age now, so I'm 60 next birthday. So I've been there. Most circumstances I've been to, in business, worked for a PLC, the director, I was on the board, we were turning £450 million a year over. And I've had small businesses, which I had to bust when the recession came in 2008. And I've run successful small businesses as well since then. I've seen both sides to it. There's not much that can phase me. What people
didn't you have a car business or something?
A car business?
Yeah.
No. When I went through my little depressional sort of area, I did drive cars, delivering cars. I did 3 days a week for a high performance car company a friend of mine worked for, and I got a little part-time work then. And that's when I decided I wanted to do my own thing. And I have nothing against people going to work, but nobody wanted a burnt out 50-odd-year-old guy in a high-level top job. That's what I found, and I thought, well, so I'm going to have to set up again on my own.
That's stigma, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. So Harvey's Event Management was born. I'd always run little events and charity events, and through the events, I started putting on little speaking events, other little things, interviewing footballers, boxers, doing sort of live on stage MC work, and I started doing stuff like that because I loved doing it. I'd always done that for charities. I did one for the NSPCC with Leslie Garrett, the opera singer, 500 people, and I did the auctioneering for them. Didn't charge a penny for it.
I know where to come now if I want to compare for the charities that I'm a chairman of. So.
All right, anytime, Steve. I'm also, believe it or believe it not, one of the things I did do, but I've not been able to do any of it since lockdown, is I'm an official British Boxing Board of Control MC. So I have a license to stand in the middle of a ring and introduce everybody, because you have to go through quite a rigorous. So I must not say it's an examination, but you have to sit in front of the British Boxing Board of Control. You have to learn all the weights. You've got to know what to do if a case of health and safety when you're on the stage, or a fight breaks out in the crowd, or something happens. It's not just a case of standing up there and saying, "Let's get ready to rumble." There's a lot more to it. So I hold a license to be able to stand in the middle of a ring.
If I met you last year, I would have said I've got lots of people that I want to knock out, mate. But
yeah, listen, Steve. One thing I always say, because I felt like that a lot of the time, believe me. And then a coach that I use a lot is amazing. I saw him last Friday. I'm going to give him a shout out. That's Paul Mort. Now, he's Marmite. His language isn't good. But Paul Mort, last Friday, he's from South Shields. I went up, he did a one-man show at the Opera House in Newcastle, where he spoke for 2 hours to an audience of 1,000 people live.
gosh,
His video of him standing on a cliff where he was going to take his own life 6 years ago has had over 6 million hits.
gosh.
And he's turned his life around. And he's an inspiration to me. So, but don't go and work with him as a coach. I'm much better to work with than Paul Moore, honestly. But I'm bound to say that. But I've learned a lot of people like that. And I'm in his alliance group now, where I get help when I need help. Even coaches need coaches. We all have these days. It doesn't go away, but we just got to improve. We've got to improve our life every day. Do something to improve your life, just that 1%. That's the whole premise really about where I speak. It's never too late to change your life. Never, no matter what age you're at. And there's one thing I found out, another little tip here, and I say this when I speak, if you don't mind me sort of mentioning this. When my mother died, I was 4 or 5 years ago, I was going through cupboards and I came across my old school reports. If there's anybody out there listening,
I've done that.
If anybody out there listening, go and read your old school reports, because you do become some of the things the teachers said about you. This is why you can change. This is why you can change. My art teacher wrote, "Kevin is totally wasting his time in this class. He's better at doing other things than art. He's wasting my time and his time." And because of that, I can't draw. If somebody said, "Let's play Pictionary at Christmas," he used to say that. I used to say, "No, I'm not playing," because it was instilled into me that I was rubbish at art.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing. So I've always had this thing. I'm crap at art. So in lockdown, I bought myself some A3 paper, some pencils, coloured pencils, and I still can't draw, but I really enjoyed doing it. It was therapeutic.
Yeah. I do when I draw, I do like perspective houses and stuff, and streets and stuff, and
Yeah. Oh, I'm a stick man. I draw sticks. But again, another stick man. But another little tip, if anybody's listening, is we get the voices in the head. They're telling us to do this, and they're telling me that I was useless. They were telling me I was rubbish. They was telling me I was no good. They're telling me I had no family and blah blah blah. All these voices in your head. You've got to change that. I drew a picture of the old me, with the words coming out of my head, and scribbled it out and drew one at the side of me with a pair of boxing gloves hitting my old self. And I picture that now when I get these thoughts in my head, and I change my thought.
When you kind of like, when you kind of like at school and people say, "Oh, you can't do this and you can't do that." That's one of the things I did when I was at school. I had to prove to them that I could do it. They said to me it would be a waste of CSE paperwork for my exam, all right, because I won't be able to pass it. So what did I do? I did it and I passed it. Then around about 6 months later, I was on White. Do you remember the old YTS training?
I do, yeah. Youth Opportunity Scheme, the opposite.
Remember that years ago, and I was on that, and I saw my ex-teacher who actually said that to me. I was called to her house, do a bit of gardening, and I thought, oh my god, here we go. And I met her, and I said to her, you know what you did? when you said that I couldn't do it, well past it. And she went, huh. Then she went in. She said, can you get on with the garden for me? And I said to her, I'm not going to get on with your garden, cutting your grass for you, the way you spoke to me.
Yeah.
And I just walked off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
And
totally get it. But it's like I say, that's all about sort of the admit, accept, and appreciate it. And you've just got to laugh because you had the last laugh. And I, I try not to waste my energy on what other people are thinking about me now or what's going on in the past. I try to move my energy. You know, we all have energy leaks, and a lot of my energy leaks was whinging and moaning and going on, and still do that. My mates in the pub will still think that's all you ever do when you come in here, but I do that because that's what they all do. But I don't do that when I'm outside of that. I just get on with my life. I try not to have the negative thoughts. As soon as I get a negative thought, I try and flip it in my head.
that's it. One of my agents said to me, oh, you'll never be able to write a book. Okay, because of my stroke. But, I did, and it came out 2 days ago. You know what I mean? So, and in it, it's about my life, what happened to me, but my suicidal tendencies, why I did this. I, we have kind of like helped loads and loads of people. We put people into rehabs. We put people into different places. We got people help. We got counsellors on here. So and people just want to help. And that's all. That's what we're about.
Yeah, that's all I want to do. You know,
Yeah.
it's not just the fact of saving lives. I mean, I found the Samaritans. You know, I've spoke to people years ago, been through that when things were low, and you just sometimes need to talk to people. You know, and listening to things. But the only way to do it, if I'm honest, is you've got to sort of start doing that 1% each day, and just change your mindset into positive thoughts all the while. I know there's certain people don't like the words negatives and don't like the words positives, but you've just got to ask yourself the questions. Ask yourself questions every day. Does this choice fit with what I say I want, or does it fit with what I say I don't want? I have all mine written down on bits of paper. All these things, and every time I make a choice and I'm not sure which to do, I ask myself these questions.
Yeah.
Does this fit in what I want, or am I just doing it like short-term gratification?
Yeah.
Is this me? Is it
when
me?
When I get negative thoughts, right, what I do, if I get negative thoughts in the air, I would just go on to, I will think about like something funny or, I'm a joker with all my friends. If you go on my Facebook, you see that I'm always telling jokes. I always mess about, and people say, oh, thanks, Steve, you cheered me up and all that lot. And sometimes I could be sad, but I just put jokes on and that's it, and that's the one way I do it. It's like one particular time I remember standing on a bridge in Cornwall, by Cornwall, the Tamar Bridge, and wanted to jump off it. Right, and I thought, and people came along, took me off. They sectioned me, they put me into hospital under the mental health act, and there and then I had to change my life. And we can all do it. We can all change our life. But the trouble is, only person can do it is you. No one else.
I agree with that. But one thing I would say as well is there's a few things you need to check. And one thing I had to check was my support system. Because my support system wasn't family. Although I've got some cousins, distant cousins about, my immediate family had all gone. And I say I've got no brothers, I've got no sisters. I do have a stepdaughter, who now is a massive part of my life. But at the particular time, after splitting with the mother and everything, it was okay. But I spend so much time with her now, it's untrue. I had to change things. And the thing I'm going to say is your support system has to be on the same wavelength of you.
Yeah.
It's an old saying, which is accredited to Jim Rohn, but I believe it's before him. I'll try and get it right, which is you become the average of the 5 people you spend your most time with. And I was spending my time when I was going down the pub with negative people all the while that were happy. They were happy in their life, but they didn't want to grow or they didn't want to go forward. So I've had to find some people that were more mentors for me to deal with. you know, people that I sort of aspired to that did things. My support system was still my friends. In fact, this is a true story. The first time I spoke live doing my motivational speech, which was breakdowns to breakthroughs, and I told a lot of the story that I've told now. I bought 10 tickets myself, and I gave them to my mates who came, and they thought it was going to be funny, and they sat down on the front row, didn't know what to expect. And I opened up by saying my opening lines were, having a breakdown is one of the best things that ever happened to me. And then I cried on stage and thanked them people there for being part of my support system. And do you know what? They didn't even know that I've been struggling that much with depression.
Kev, I've got to leave it.
That's
But
fine.
thank you very much for coming on. What I want to do is get you back doing question and answers sometimes. We always do that.
Yeah.
And I'll keep in touch. I'll message you in a minute because I want to talk to you about something.
Yeah, no problem at all. Right. Thank you,
you so
everybody
much.
that's listening in or was listening. Remember, where you are today is not where you have to be tomorrow.
Thank you.
See you later. Thank you.
Turn it up for me.
Are you still there, Steve?
Oh, God.
Are you still there, Steve?
Sorry.
I don't know how to turn it off.
Can you just turn it off?
Shall I sing a song? Do you want me to sing a song? Are we still live?
Yeah, just turn it off. Just turn it off, sure.